Moving along to the Equipment Reserve Fund, Fund 400. Here is where we allocated some of the funding for the water treatment plant system cameras. This allows us to distribute the cost of those cameras in an appropriate way. That is what this fund is specifically for. And it's one of the ways that we are able to lighten the load a little bit of the two camera systems together. All right. Moving along to the Building Reserve Fund, there were no changes in this fund. Moving along to the Parks Reserve Fund. Once again, no changes in this fund. Under the Water Reserve Fund, you can see everything remains the same. And under the Sewer Reserve Fund, the same deal. We have all of the same allocations and appropriations that we previously had for this fund as well. All right, moving along to Fund 405, CIP, or Capital Improvement Reserve Fund, not CIP, Capital Improvement Reserve Fund. Here is where we have everything really being exactly as it was previously. We have no capital outlays this year. We do expect that this will be the fund that we will end up pulling from next fiscal year to some extent when we begin looking at some of our small projects. And we may consider as a council transferring funds into this fund in order to handle some of those future expenses. That's something we'll talk about next year. For this year, everything remains the same. Water Revenue Bond Reserve Fund. This fund remains exactly the same as well. I just want to highlight that it's highly likely in the next couple of months that council may consider moving the $24,000 back to Fund 601 once we're confident and very comfortable that 300193 3193 is all that we need there. Council decided, as a reminder, last hearing to keep those funds there at this time, but we are able to move that unappropriated ending fund balance back to an appropriate home once we have the confidence to do so. But that's not something we have to do tonight, and we can do that at another date. Water System Capital Improvement Reserve Fund, 407. This is the lion's share of the budget, and that is largely in part, mostly in part, by the Oregon Water Resources Department's, the grant that we're bringing in for the water system improvements. Everything here is exactly as you saw during the last meeting as well. City Events Reserve Fund. This is the first year that we have nothing listed for these funds. So next year we'll see a single asterisk added to this, and so on and so forth over the next couple of years. This one will also phase out. The reason for that, as a quick reminder, is that city events are an operational expense, and those have been moved to the general fund, which is where those dollars now live. Park System Development Charge Fund. This remains exactly the same as it was previously, and this is prescribed. Sewer System Development Charge Fund. This one also is prescribed and remains exactly as it has been over the last couple of meetings. Street System Development Charge Fund. This too is a prescribed fund and remains exactly as it was during our previous meetings. Storm System Development Charge Fund, 510. Similarly, like all the SDC funds, this is a prescribed fund and it remains as it was over the past couple of meetings. Water System Development Charge Fund, y'all know what I'm going to say. This is a prescribed fund, and it's going to remain the same as it was over the last few meetings.
You sure this is not a recording?
All right,
I
now
do
we're
have
back.
something.
Yeah, go ahead, Dawn.
Sorry. I noticed something on the LB1 form. Sorry. Under 601, you know how we had our FTEs change on that fund, and I think there was one other. I noticed that on our LB1 form, it wasn't tied to column I, it was tied to column G. So I did correct that on the LB1 form. I just want to make sure we put eyes on that before council leaves tonight, because the copy they have is not correct. The one I have online on our actual budget form is, and I can always share my screen if I need to at the end as well.
Got it. So what I'm sharing right now is what's on the website. Is that,
Yep.
so that's the, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for catching that, Dawn.
Of course.
Okay, question.
Yes.
Going back real quick to 507, I want to make sure I'm looking at this right. It's Park System Development Charge. Because you got cash on hand in one column, which is one, and then number 8, total resources, etc. Are you counting the cash on hand as total resources?
That is correct, Councilor Ray. So what cash on hand means is that's the balance that we currently have in that fund.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the beginning balance rolling over to the next fiscal year.
Okay. I just want to make sure I was looking at that right.
Yeah, and you'll see that on all of our funds, and you will see on a few of them, they change just slightly. Most of them remain pretty accurate, so we forecasted very well because we were still spending money up until this time when we first met with the budget committee. So the dollars here, the available cash on hand did remain the same for that particular fund. Most of them did. Heading back to 601. So the one change that was made on 601 that I'd like to draw council's attention to is under requirements. There was a $10,000 increase to the city administrator role. That is for two reasons. One is that we'll be transitioning from my full-time to my .8 role within the next month or two, once personnel committee and council goes through that process. And secondly, one thing I had completely forgotten is that my review for the CA is coming up in July. And so I have included, if council should choose to allow for a cost of living adjustment, the appropriations there currently exist for that to happen. This is not expenditures. This does not mean that money is getting distributed in that way. It just means that it's available there should council decide to increase the wage for the city administrator role. You see that there in the total personnel services difference, as well as the 0.07 increase on the FTE there. Everything else remained significantly the same on this particular fund. And then also a portion of the water treatment plant and park cameras, again, distributed to this account to allow us to spread it out across multiple funds. And down on the UALB 30, the changes here are that we reduced our transfer to capital improvement down to $12,000. Previously, we had that at a very high level of $70,000. And you can see in prior years, we hardly allocated anything at all. We wanted to allocate something to that as we're expecting for some infrastructure in these coming months and years. Similarly, transfer to the Water Reserve Fund was similarly reduced. Once again, that is still above what it was in prior years. We wanted to continue that commitment to allocating those dollars to the water revenue bond as well as or the water reserve as well as capital improvement. Interfund transfers, therefore, have reduced from 170 down to 54. And the operating contingency did increase. So one of the things that I really thought was very important to do, I'd like to highlight this for council, is this particular fund has a lot of expenditures. It's probably our most active fund. It was very prudent to ensure that we have enough funding for operational contingencies because we did our best to identify what costs are coming our direction. However, if you look at prior years, you can clearly see that we have used significant contingency. So I wanted to make sure that we're not left in a situation where we don't have the ability to fund our requirements. And the unappropriated ending fund balance similarly was increased as well to allow for expenditures before taxes come in. As a brief reminder, the unappropriated ending fund balance is the money that we use to fund all operational expenditures within that fund until our taxes roll in. This is, again, our heaviest fund and the one where we see a significant amount of pressure before taxes come in. It was important that we think carefully about how we're funding those expenditures, taking into account the last session we met to do a reconciliation, and a lot of that was to ensure that we had enough money to move forward. So I want to make sure that the unappropriated ending fund balance is sufficiently large enough to cover all of our expenditures before, again, taxes come rolling in. And the totals at the bottom remain the same. Stormwater. So stormwater remains exactly as it was previously. This is one of our tighter funds, much like Public Works. Nothing too significant in here. Materials and services decreased. All right, we have the 609 Stormwater Fund, the UALB 30. And so you can see here that our operating contingency remains the same, which is, again, in line with what we had previously and in line with what we saw with actual expenditures this past year. The reserve for future expenditures remains exactly the same, as well as the unappropriated ending fund balance.
Hey, TJ,
Yes.
we're talking 609, right?
Yes.
Total resources, 147.93. Total requirements is 143.026. And then let's see where it changed. Am I looking at it wrong?
No, you're not. Don, did we have any changes in our spreadsheet this afternoon? Because this was balanced perfectly.
Not that I'm aware of. In the master, let me go on our
yeah,
online
please do.
website
Take
here.
a look. Let me know what you see there.
This is for Storm, correct?
That is correct.
Storm on our spreadsheet is not showing any differences. Let me go to it.
Yeah, I'm just saying that the printout I have has different numbers. And same.
No, yeah, and I'm seeing that too on the printout, but these are printed out from Okay.
I remember you said we had an error, so that's why I was asking. It shows like on, requirements line 35, it shows adopted by governing body, about $5,000 less, 47,299. And then,
There's an
probably-
$84 on repairs and maintenance for storm.
yeah, under storm, and that's, so there's a bunch of,
Line 26
Oh.
looks like it changed. But
That's
it's
changed
not-
somewhere. That is the difference right there. That's exactly it. Thank you. Good.
So I will change that right now. You should be changed to 5,000, correct?
Don, would you go ahead? Yes, please change that now. And then if you
Sure.
could update the website with the accurate budget.
so is that staying 5,000?
Yes, somehow that changed. I don't know how that changed to $84, but that is what happened somewhere along the line.
47,942 is now the total again. I just changed it.
Thank you, Don.
But yeah, you're
I'll
right.
get it
That's
on the website by the end of the meeting.
probably
So
where we're,
52,215 is the correct number for that fund. And that is now in line again.
thank you. Yeah,
Sewer fund, 610. So we see that there were no significant changes here at all, no changes at all for the budget in terms of any of our capital expenditures that were edited by council last session. And the sewer fund UALB 30. Total interfund transfers remain at 22,350. Unappropriated ending fund balance remains at 50,000, and total requirements not allocated remains at 72,350. Total requirements of 428,556. Okay. So, Dawn, has that been corrected on your end now? Or I think Don's probably working on it right now, but I think we have that updated and accurate on the website here in just a moment.
Is it possible on your screen to X out of like the recording thing? So we just can't see who's on there.
Sorry, I'm correcting them right now, and I have to sew the PDF back together.
Usually
so
we like
I
No
can
worries.
share
Thanks,
my
Don.
screen.
off to the side.
I can share my screen if they want to see it corrected before they do anything as well. And I can also show them the corrected LB1 if you would prefer.
That'll be great, Don. If you want to go ahead, once you're done, go ahead and share your screen.
Right by the recording on the right, that just
The little
close that
box.
box.
Right in the center, very long, it's covered in TJ's face. There you go.
There you go. Thank you.
Sorry.
No worries.
So
Okay, and so we'll give it just a minute here, and I'll have Dawn go ahead and share her screen to show you all that we have updated that in real time, and that will be on the website momentarily after, before this hearing is concluded. And I'll go ahead and stop sharing in just a moment here. So that'll give Dawn the opportunity to share her screen when she's ready, and that should be in just a few minutes.
So I gather there were no questions?
okay, so can everybody see my screen?
No.
Nope,
Not
not yet, Dawn.
No.
Try it again.
Okay.
No, try it again.
It says stop sharing, so that's weird.
There
there
you
you go. Oh,
Oh,
It took a second. I think it was
Oh,
just
right
a
when you
delay.
see
Try
it.
it again.
All right, let me know if you see it.
Yeah, give it a second and it'll pop in. There we go.
So this is a Storm 609. I have changed this back to 5,000 here. It had changed to $84 for whatever reason. And then you can see on the UA LB30, the total requirements are back to the 147,942. And let me scroll over to the LB1, which is a tedious process. Good grief. Okay. So our LB1 has updated FTEs to reflect the updated amounts in water. And I think the other one may have been public works. I can't remember. But these now are all tied to line or column I rather than column G. So these are the updated FTEs for each of the funds. And I'll make sure this gets on there by the end of the night as well.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Of course.
Right, I'll go ahead and ask if there are any additional questions. I'll go ahead and share my screen again. And once council is confident about moving forward, we can then close the hearing and begin to look at the resolutions that are attached for finalizing the budget for the year.
All right. Any comments, questions, concerns before I close the hearing? Don, TJ, was there anything that you wanted to add before I close the hearing?
Thank you all for your work. No, I think that I think we're good. Thank you all for your attention to detail as well. We appreciate it.
Everything's good on my end as well.
Okay, wonderful, thank you. Thank you both for all your hard work on this budget. I know it's been a royal pain in the rear end. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close the budget hearing at 6:40 p.m. We're back into our regular city council meeting. And here we are ready to look at resolution 2026-08.
All right. So with 2026-08, let me go ahead and get down to that. Here it is. So this is a resolution certifying the city of Monroe's eligibility to receive state revenue sharing funds for fiscal year 2026-2027. If you recall, we had this resolution last year after the fact, which was not a significant problem, but we were able to get it done. This year, it is part of the budget process. I will go ahead and just briefly read off the whereases. The Oregon Revised Statutes require local governments to establish eligibility before receiving state revenue sharing funds. The city of Monroe provides 4 or more municipal services, including but not limited to planning and zoning, parks and recreation, streets and transportation, water utility services, wastewater utility services, and stormwater utility services. The City Council conducted a public hearing on the proposed use of state revenue sharing funds for fiscal year 2026-2027 in accordance with Oregon law. And the City Council finds that the City of Monroe meets all statutory requirements to receive state revenue sharing funds for fiscal year 2026-2027. And therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Monroe, Certification of Authority, Section Number 1, the City of Monroe hereby certifies that it provides 4 or more municipal services as required by Oregon Revised Statutes and is therefore eligible to receive state revenue sharing funds for this fiscal year. Section 2 of authorization, the City Administrator, Finance Officer, and the appropriate city staff are authorized and directed to complete and submit all certifications, reports, and documents necessary to receive state revenue sharing funds. Section 3 effective date. It shall take effect immediately upon adoption. And that, of course, is today, the 29th, and our signature blocks are below. Are there any questions about state revenue sharing or the conditions that we are certifying we meet in order to receive these funds for another fiscal year?
Nope, doesn't sound like it. Okay, I am ready to entertain a motion on resolution 2026-08.
I'll make a motion that we adopt City of Monroe Resolution Number 2026-08, a resolution certifying City of Monroe eligibility to receive state revenue sharing funds for fiscal year 2026-2027.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, let's get started. Councilor Ray,
Yes.
Councilor Williams,
Yes.
Councilor Evans,
Yes.
Councilor Cuthbertson,
Yes.
Councilor Myers.
Yes.
There we go.
Thank you. All right, I will now go to, or sir, I'll let you call it. This is your line.
Give me 1 second. Okay. Moving on to the next resolution here. This is resolution 2026-09, a resolution adopting the fiscal year 2026-2027 budget, making appropriations, imposing ad valorem, am I pronouncing that right? Valorem taxes, that's a new word for me, and categorizing taxes.
All
There we go.
right. So it's just the terminology for the taxes that we are imposing. What we have done in the past is had 2 or 3 different resolutions to implement this bundle of actions. It is much more appropriate, especially for a small city. It's nearly universal for you to see these in a single resolution, so that way the auditors and any member of the public looking to see the actions that we're taking can see them in one place. So I will go through the whereas clauses here as well.
Okay.
So whereas in accordance with ORS 294426, the Monroe Budget Committee met on May 26th, June 1st, June 8th to receive public testimony, hear the budget message, and listen to presentations pertaining to the proposed budget for fiscal year 26-27. The Budget Committee deliberated on the proposed budget on the May 26th, June 1st, and June 8th. The Budget Committee approved the proposed budget on June 8th. The proposed budget document included certain reserves and contingency balances for operating funds, and such amounts were included in the approved budget. On June 12th, a summary of the budget as required under ORS 294438 was duly mailed by first-class mail delivery to each street address, post office box, and rural route number belonging to residents within the city boundaries. In accordance with ORS 294456, the Monroe City Council duly held a public hearing on June 22nd where all interested persons were afforded an opportunity to appear and be heard with respect to the approved budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2026. And whereas the Monroe City Council continued the budget hearing on June 29th, which was duly noticed on the city website. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Monroe. Section 1 adoption. The city adopts the budget for fiscal year 2026-27 in the total amount of $6,171.442. Appropriations. Of the total adopted budget, the city appropriates $4,983,389. The difference of $1,188,053 is not appropriated and is not available for expenditures during this year. A schedule of appropriations is provided in Attachment A. Section 3, taxes. The City of Monroe City Council hereby imposes the taxes provided for in the adopted budget at the rate of $3.5566 per $1,000 of assessed value for general operations, and that these taxes are hereby imposed and categorized for the tax year 26-27 upon the assessed value of all property in the city. Those are the ad valorem. Reserves and carryover. Certain contingencies, reserves, and carryover balances are established as part of the budget process. General Accounting Standards Board restricted category includes amounts for which an external source has created a legal restriction on available balances, such as for bond covenants and taxes restricted to the payment of debt. Effective date, Section 4. This resolution is effective upon adoption. Any questions about actually what I'll do before we go to that, I will skip down here to our attachment A. And what you see here is for each fund, we've identified the primary categories, and this is what is authorizing the appropriations per the budget and per this attachment A. Personnel services, material and services, municipal court, capital outlay, transfers, and contingency are what you see in general fund. Public Works includes all of those same, except for it also includes City Hall, Monroe Community Center, and Parks. Street Fund, back to personnel, materials, capital, and transfers, as well as contingency. Water Treatment Fund, personnel, again, materials, capital, transfers, and contingency. Stormwater Fund, you see the same categories. There are no capital outlays and no transfers to other funds. Sewer Fund, personnel services, materials and services, capital outlay, transfers, and contingency. Water Revenue Bond, these are those ones that we saw just above, where certain requirements are held for things like debt service or for taxes. So these are all the ones that remained significantly the same. The Water System Capital Improvement Reserve Fund, that is where, again, you see the $1.5 million from our grant. That is why that fund looks so much larger if you were looking at the prior year's numbers. General Obligation Bond, you have your principal and your interest. Equipment Reserve Fund, we have a capital outlay. Building Reserve Fund, we have no capital outlays. Park Reserve Fund, no capital outlays. Water Reserve Fund, $110,000 in capital outlays. Sewer Reserve Fund, no capital outlays. Capital Improvement Reserve Fund, no capital outlays. Water Revenue Bond Reserve Fund, final bond payment of $30,193. Park Development Charges, no materials and services, just capital outlays. System Development Charges, there are no appropriations in that fund. Street Development Charges, there are no appropriations in that fund. Storm Development Charges, there are only capital outlays as prescribed in all prior budget years. Materials and service, or excuse me, Water Development Charges, no materials and services, but capital outlays here as well. So the total city appropriations for all funds is $4,983,389.
I wanted to make note too, Jay, I just updated the website with the corrected LB1 as well as our 2 storm, the UA LB30 as well as the regular LB30 for storm.
Thank you. All right, so we are now in line. We're in shape. Any questions from council on the appropriations or any of the actions being taken within this resolution?
It does not appear so.
So it's clean.
Okay, I will entertain a motion on resolution 2026-09.
Okay. I'll make a motion to City of Monroe Resolution -2026-09, a resolution adopting the fiscal year 2026-2027 budget, making appropriations closing ad valorem taxes and categorizing taxes.
I'll second.
Any comments, questions, concerns before we vote? Okay, here we go. Counselor Ray?
Yes.
Counselor Williams?
Yes.
Counselor Evans? Counselor Cuthbertson?
Yes.
Counselor Myers?
Yes.
There you go, TJ.
Excellent. We now have an approved budget and we are ready to begin our new fiscal year in very good shape.
Excellent. So now we can breathe a sigh of relief. Dawn, I'm sorry it's going to be a short one as you dive into audit.
Right?
I'm sorry about that. Thank you both very much once again. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate all the hard work on this. I
Definitely.
know it's been a
Thank
long.
you, guys.
Yeah, that looks great. Thank you for what you both did. Appreciate it.
Thank you. It was significant and we appreciate your vote of confidence and your support.
I just want to make note, and correct me, TJ, if I'm wrong, we're going to have City Hall closed tomorrow and Friday, correct?
That is correct. We're going to take some much needed time to relax. Don and I both spent significant time Friday over the weekend and today getting some work done. So we're going to Mark is also gone tomorrow too. And then the third is the observance of the 4th of July. So that's why we're off Friday.
Yep. Great.
Leslie will be in office tomorrow, I believe, from 11 to 4, correct, Leslie?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
And Jake will be working, I assume?
Yes, correct.
Okay. All right. All right, thank you all very much. Go home, relax, and we'll catch up again soon.
Do we have to sign?
Feel better, Don.
Yeah, we have stuff to sign, but they can go.
Oh,
Thank you.
And
Hey, Dawn,
Counselor Cuthbertson can catch up.
Yeah.
I just take this little computer to the right, is that correct?
The your personal laptop for the office, yes. Take
Okay,
that back to City Hall, ma'am.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, in the basket and the signatures, please.
Okay.
Okay,
Good night.
thank you, good night.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
I tried to sign the wrong sign.
I'm trying not to do that. We're gonna do this one though. Okay.
Still daylight out. What are we doing here?
I know, crazy, isn't it? So this time.
No, the one up to the 20th.
The one below?
I
Okay.
know it's gonna be very tricky.
It's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
And I say, yay.
My son used to work there.
So how far are you riding today?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
How far, how many miles are you riding today?
Just
To the house.
All right.
Today.
It's far away though.
I need to start, I need to find a path that I feel safe to ride it. I need to ride some mile.
Well, right now, I would say the railroad track is okay.
Well, yeah, this piece,
Yeah,
and then down that piece for me.
You can get all the way to the cutoff road.
Yeah, I wish I